Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for Politically Incorrect Knitters. I am Deplorable Knitter, and I am thrilled to tell you that our fabulous co-host, Ann Pinkava, is back. Hi, Ann.
Hello.
And Ann is joining us all the way from Romania. So you may notice some, volume issues or different things, lags, because she's really, really far away, even more so than normal. So bear with us. It's only a few weeks. 6 weeks that Ann's gone, so it'll be fine.
It'll be fun.
It is going to be fun. I'm kind of excited. And I didn't ask her about her trip because I knew that you guys would all want to know too. So we're going to talk about that once we get started. But before we do, all of your prizes should have been mailed out. I gave Ann Goose Mom's address, so you should be getting your prize soon, hopefully.
Jane McTavish hasn't said anything yet that I know of, unless you got her address.
Jane, if you're watching, please email politicallyincorrectknitters@gmail.com so that we can get you your prize. Okay. And then speaking of prizes, July giveaway, Odyssey Tale, because we love Cody Schlegel's book. It's a fabulous story that's non-woke. I think maybe next month we should do an Audible version, because I know that a lot of people are like me and they don't, as much as we love to hold real books, it's just easier when you can listen to it. So you can get it on Audible. If you're a member of Spotify, you can get it there, I think for free, just with your membership fee. So check out Cody Schlegel, Odyssey Tale. And then I've got this one-of-a-kind skein from Chicken Lady Fiber Arts. This is on her Surima sock base. And it's pretty. It's got oranges and pinks and a little bit of yellows and whites and speckles, and it's gorgeous. Fantastic. So this, and you'll get some stickers from Birdie Rose, which I accidentally misplaced. And so when I find them, I will show you guys what they look like. But that's going to be at the end of the month. This giveaway, it's eligible from now until the end of the month. So you got some time to get in for it. So Ann, tell us what's going on. Oh, no, before we do that, if you want to get your own Chicken Lady yarn, because it's fantastic, use the code PIK July 20 to get 20% off your purchase, and you can get beautiful yarns like Deprogrammed or one of her one-of-a-kind colors or anything else that she's got. It's all fantastic. So PIK July 20. Okay, now Ann, what's up?
Well, no, it's been a good trip so far. I mean, I only just sort of came in and got settled. Flying was okay. The only time that I had to wear a mask at all was the last flight, which was a German flight. And I didn't feel like fighting the air stewardess for, that wouldn't have been good.
No. I mean, you don't really want to cause a ruckus when you're in another country, is my guess. Kind of go with the flow. Not. Yeah. So the flights were okay. The layover, I know you were worried about your layover in Munich, so that was all right.
Yeah, that was all good.
Just long.
Yeah, it was a long layover, but they had these like sort of plastic reclining chair things. So like there was a bunch of people sitting around and taking naps, so I took advantage of that.
That's cool. I can't imagine traveling for that long. I've only flown on a plane like 3 or 4 times, and it's been to like Florida. So it's not really anything crazy. It's like a 3-hour flight and you're there. So right. I can't imagine like traveling across the world. It's insane.
Well, I was a little bummed. So how my tickets were set up was I couldn't pick my seats without paying more money. So they kind of give you your flight tickets at the last minute. And then when I first went to check my bag, I asked the lady if she would print my tickets, but she said that she couldn't, and then I'd have to download the app. And I hate that. I hate that so much. I want a physical ticket and I don't want to lose it. And the last flight ticket, if I hadn't screen capped it, it would have disappeared into the ether because my app wouldn't let me find it again.
Oh, so, no.
Yeah.
That's upsetting.
I mean, I probably could have given the lady my whatever ticket identifier, but still, that would have been not cool. But yeah, I mean, for all those minor issues, it was fairly uneventful. For the flight from Chicago to Munich, though, so because I couldn't pick the seat, I'm like in the dead middle of this plane, and it's like, oh man, I wanted to see out the window. We were flying right over England. That would have been pretty cool, but it was cloudy anyway, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah, but still, it would have been neat. Neil was bummed that your layover wasn't in England. If it was like in London, he was like, I would have figured out how to meet her. Neil would have come to the airport to meet you, but
Well, I would have enjoyed that too, but
you guys would have had to live stream if you had actually met each other. You know that, right?
yep, definitely.
But so what have you been doing since you got there? I mean, I know you're just settling in. It's probably kind of crazy.
Right.
Getting
Right.
used to it.
I haven't been doing anything like super exciting. I mean, driving around a bit. We visited their pastor's house for a 4th of July party for, all the Americans in the area, which was pretty interesting. That they were debating the qualities of certain local marshmallows and whether or not they really would toast, but we ended up. But yeah, it's I don't know, it was interesting because I was in a room full of people who were far more traveled than I was. One lady had just come back from France that morning, so I'm like, wow, I'm just kind of here.
That's cool though. It's interesting. So you've mostly just been settling in. And so I was asking questions because it's probably horribly stereotypical, but when I think of like countries like Romania, I think of like women with like headscarves on and carrying produce in a basket, selling it at a little market and stuff. So I was asking Anne, like, what is it like there? Is there that, or is it just?
I mean, not really. I mean, there's guys with shorts selling watermelon by the side of the road, but that's not anything, particularly new for any area. Big signs hanging up for produce stands. But the houses are very interesting because, okay, everybody has a gate and a fence around their entire property, and that gate stays locked. And even though like the community itself is closer to each other, it's sort of a good fences make good neighbors sort of a thing. And the houses too are, because the area where I am, this area has been built up a lot in the past decade. So I can see houses being built, and the houses you can see are concrete blocks, and they're being plastered together, and there'll be plaster put over them. And yeah, it's pretty, just the variety of architecture is very interesting.
So with all of your world travel that you've been doing, have you had any time to work on any projects?
I have. Let's see. But this is, I started a shawl because I did bring yarn along, and I brought along Chicken Lady's Patriot collection because I thought I should make something with that. And I'm going to get the name wrong. It's Sagetta by Handmade Knits. Anyways, but it is this lovely shawl pattern. And I chose this one because it has like little opposing stripe sections, and I wanted to have something that I could fade the different colors back and forth with.
It's really pretty.
So yeah,
I love that dark blue. I guess I don't remember there being such a dark blue in it in the Patriot collection, but man, it's pretty.
Right. Yeah, it's lovely.
Cool. That's nice.
Yep. And also on the plane, whipped out another one of those things. You've seen them. They're everywhere.
We've seen those hats. We know all about them.
Every single time. I sold 6 of them in the month of June. So
good for you.
Yeah.
I just sold 2 Christmas stockings. So in a minute, well, not in a minute, but maybe next week, you guys will see the beginning of that, because we have one family and we've been making Christmas stockings for them for several years now. And every time there's a new baby born, we get to make one. And they're in that phase of life where all of the kids are now having kids. So this year we need to make 2. And yeah, so that's exciting. They're not our absolute favorite, but it is life. And it is reason that I have to practice my intarsia, because it's all intarsia. So I will be texting Anne, because I can't even call her now that she's in Romania. I will be messaging her saying, Anne, I'm terrible. What do I do?
What is this?
How do I make it look not like I've never done this before? But that's funny. No, but if you've got something that sells, I mean, capitalize, even though it's boring. I mean,
Yeah, definitely.
when we had the Stop the Steal hats, I think we did 50 of them or something really, really crazy like that. And that was in the course of just a couple months. But
Right.
so I have a little bit of knitting. I am making something different. It's this. It's this big right now. But nobody is going to know who I am. And you've left the country and I've lost my mind. So this is some lovely fingering weight yarn from Callius Designs. And this is some lovely mohair yarn. And I'm knitting with it because I don't know who I am anymore. I don't remember the name of the poncho. I can find out what it is, but it's a little poncho pattern. And I was thinking, we do the podcast. I teach knitting classes. I should really have a few things to wear. And so I was thinking a poncho, because I can still wear it when it's cool out, and I can have like a tank top under it because I'm the queen of hot flashes. So at least I can still be cool. But I think this is Sally Ride from Callius Yarns. And I don't remember the name of this one. I got them together as a kit and it's just gone. I have no idea what they are. But okay, so I said this was going to be done last week. It wasn't done last week. This is the Life Wins hat. It's blacked. It has a crown on it now, as you can see, and a pom-pom. And then it's got tiny footprints and a little heartbeat. So this is coming out this week. Sorry, anybody who may have been waiting for it. I was just telling Anne that I worked crazy hours. And when I wasn't working, I was sleeping, because I don't know if it's a holdover from COVID or my surgery, but I worked so much, and then my body was like, nope, I can't do anymore. And so that was life. But this Life Wins hat, it's made, this purple yarn is Chicken Lady Fiber Arts yarn. It's Crown Royal. So if you want to make one similar to mine, you can get that from her. This is not a Chicken Lady yarn, but I do know that she does sell like a bare base or some light colors that you could use for your contrast if that's something you wanted. And another great thing that you can use is a stitch marker from our new sponsor, The Perfect Heist. She has all different kinds of items. She has stitch markers, shawl pins, just all different things that you might want for your knitting needs. She is a patriot, Christian, handmade in Maine. So check her out. The Perfect Heist, and her details are in the description. And you can use the code SMALLBIZ to get 60% off of her items. And I think that there's going to be a little collab going on between our friend Chicken Lady and our new friend at The Perfect Heist. So that's something to keep your eyes open for. But so the reason I wanted to talk about this at the end, though, is because Anne was late. As anybody who watches us knows, Anne is always late. So while I was waiting for Anne, I think that once or twice you have been on time, or maybe earlier than me, and it really, really messes me up. I think if you stop being late, I wouldn't actually know what to do. But
at least I'm reliable.
Yeah, exactly. But so while I was waiting for Anne, I was apparently paying penance for something, and I was watching Disturbing the Fleece, Fatima, or as our friend Neil likes to call her, Fleecing the Disturbed, because it's a lot more accurate. And she was talking about abortion. And so that's why I wanted to bring this up, because, there's a lot of us who are pretty stoked that Roe versus Wade was sent back to the states, that there are things that are going on to make abortion less accessible. And she was going off about abortion. And I was watching it because I'm a glutton for punishment, I guess. And so there's so many things that she was saying while I was watching her, but I'm just going to give you a few highlights. And I just want to tell you, Anne, if you or I said anything like this about people of a different color, we would immediately be labeled with a giant R as big fat racists. Because if I went around saying anything that she says about white people and I flipped the race,
right,
I would be full of hate speech. That's what would be happening. They would be telling me that I am a horrible person and I'm full of hate. But because she's Black, she can say all this stuff about everybody, which is just mind-boggling to me. And I know that we have people that follow us that are people of color. And I want to know, does this bother you? Does this mentality that they spout, is it upsetting? I don't know. But anyway. So she said right in the beginning of it, you know, if you guys feel like I'm ragging on white women, it's because I am. Like straight up. Yeah. So and she's saying that this Roe versus Wade thing is white feminist responsibility. So you and I aren't actually part of it, Anne, because we're not feminist. Which is good, I guess.
You know, race traitors or not.
I don't know about that, but she was specifically calling out white feminists. So I don't think you and I count because we don't identify as that, right?
Right. She probably, you know, liberal is in that bubble. She wouldn't consider. Feminism has a lot of different definitions by a lot of different people, but in this context, I'm assuming she means white liberal women.
Yeah. Although then again, they were going on and on about how white women elected Trump. So I'm not sure if it's just liberals. I'm not sure. But it's our fault. We white women need to take responsibility for Roe versus Wade being overturned, which I will happily do all day, but I don't think that's what she meant.
Congratulations. And I mean, not to skip ahead on your points, but how many times has it been like, oh man, well, Republicans aren't going to like this once they know that more Black kids will be born. And it's like, I love more Black kids being born. What are you talking about? I want all the kids to be born. Congratulations.
Right. Or as Neil pointed out last week, what we're talking about is actually, if people are using birth control and different things properly, these kids that are being aborted aren't going to be conceived. And so it's they hate it when I say it, but it's personal responsibility. We're asking that if you don't want to have a baby, to not get pregnant. And I know that sometimes things fail, but if you try, your chances of having a pregnancy are less. Like it's common sense. And I'm sorry that it's hard to understand. I don't know. Right.
And I mean, certainly I would say if you don't want to have a child, use, you know, contraceptives. But I don't know, I'm kind of on team, we need more kids in this world. You know, children are our future, and they're not just our future when they're sad and in a commercial, they're actually our future. And we have declining birth rates right now, and that there is an attitude of children are unwanted and that is very damning for our society. And I know you want to get into this video, but this is just a little hangover from my my Romanian trip, because I didn't know this at all, because I'm like, okay, so Romania is an Orthodox Christian country. Anyways, I didn't know, but in 2004, 46% of all reported pregnancies in Romania were aborted. Like, and then So, and then United Nations data puts abortion rate at 2.31 abortions per 1,000 women aged 15 to 44 years in 2010. And in a 2007 survey, 50% of women said that they had an abortion. And anyways, I found that number rather shocking because that is half of your children. Like, where are the children of Romania? You know, that is concerning to me.
Yeah, and I just like almost half of the kids were aborted. And I know that they're not kids, they're fetuses or whatever people like to say, but no, half of the babies were killed by that. I'm surprised that it's like you said, it's an Orthodox Christian community.
And it was, previously a communist country, and some habits die hard. And there was a certain thing where abortion wasn't allowed during communism, so maybe they're catching up for lost time. But still, like, it takes a certain amount of hope to have children, and it is sort of a show of hopelessness that you don't think it's worth bringing kids into the world. That kind of concerns me, that there's all, that the potential for your future is what is going by the wayside here, that it's not a really long thinking view of things. Anyways.
Yeah, no, I mean, you say you have to have hope for the future. And sometimes I watch the news and I feel really sad for my kids with how things are going. But I've never once thought, well, I shouldn't have had kids.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's a totally different mindset where I'm sad that the world is going the way it is. And I'm sad that my kids are going to have to deal with some stuff that we probably didn't have to deal with growing up. But also, like you said, children are our future. So it's I don't know. But
anyways, I'm sorry.
No, but it's funny. I didn't know you weren't allowed to have abortions in communist countries.
Well, I don't know if it was just communist Romania, because China and North Korea are all for it, but
that's what I was gonna say. China is all about that, deciding girls or boys or whatever. And so I don't know. But
anyways, back to disturbing the fleece. I'm sorry for interrupting you with that.
No, it's fine. I'm glad you shared that, because I'm very surprised by those numbers. And this is the second time I've heard them, and it was still shocking to hear those numbers, even though you told me previously. Like, that's crazy.
It is insane.
So, but this rant, and I don't want to give her too much time because she doesn't deserve our time. But so white women elected Donald Trump. Apparently 1 out of 2. So half of white women voted for Donald Trump. So therefore it's our fault. That's my fault. And the reason that we are the problem that Donald Trump was elected is because too many brown and black women have felonies because of white judges. She literally said that. And so I'm like, would you have felonies if you didn't break the law, though?
Mm-hmm. That seems.
And I don't mean to laugh, because it's a problem. If your community has so many felonies that you can't vote in elections, that's a problem. But is the problem the white people, or is it something else?
Right.
I don't know. So white women elected Trump because brown people have too many felonies. And also due to that, the Electoral College is racist because it was put into place by people to make women and black people be worth less. Or funny thought here, but it could be because we're not actually a democracy and we are a democratic republic, and that's how it works.
Right. And that it's like, it's like, oh, well, it's not a strict population vote. Yes, because the entire country gets to choose who runs the entire country. It's not just the population centers at the coast. It's crazy.
I know. Isn't it funny that just because more liberals live in cities and there's more people in cities, they didn't want them to be the only ones that choose things?
It's wild.
White oppression is the reason that we have the Electoral College, and therefore that's the reason that the popular vote doesn't actually pick the president, according to her.
Yes.
So Roe versus Wade isn't going to affect white people, she said. If you're middle or upper class white, you're fine. You're going to be able to travel, get your abortion, no big deal. It's just going to hurt brown and black people. So there's that. And it's not just brown and black women. It is brown and black folks with uteruses.
Oh, well,
so
of course.
Forget. They are the victims. And then let's see, my notes there were so many things that she was saying that my notes had to go like this because there just wasn't enough room. My mind was boggled and I couldn't take it all in. I was trying to write as fast as I could, and I can't read some of it because it was so crazy. So, but because it's white people's fault, we're the ones that have to fix Roe versus Wade. Black people shouldn't be expected to do it. So that's fine. But if your community is the one that actually wants to have abortions, why shouldn't you have to fix it?
I would think that if you want a law change, that the best person to be an activist about this would be yourself.
Right. And if you're saying that it doesn't affect white people,
Mhm.
then maybe you're the one that has to do the work.
Right.
I don't understand.
I don't know if you know what state she's in, but it's like this only affects certain states. If she's in a liberal state, then this
She's
is
in
just
Georgia.
in Georgia.
Mm-hmm. So they are more conservative in Georgia, but
Right.
I haven't heard that they have any of the trigger laws. They may, I could be wrong, but oh, they did have a heartbeat law a while ago though, so it could be that they are one of the ones impacted. But
well, she should get old Stacey Abrams right on that.
Since she was supposed to be the governor anyway, right?
Yeah.
So the thing about watching her is that she comes out and she says these things, right? And then she says, I'm not going to do the emotional labor for you. You cannot DM me. You can only DM me if you're a brown or black person. If you're a white person that has questions based on things I've said, you cannot talk to me. So that would be like us talking about any of our views and then going, you can only talk to me if you're white, because otherwise you don't deserve my labor. If I'm going to get out on a platform and put out my opinions, isn't it normal to expect that people are going to want to ask questions and are going to want to engage with me?
I would think so.
And that's the part that just really doesn't make any sense to me, because she's out here saying all these crazy things about, well, it's white people's faults and it's this and it's that. So she's blatantly racist. Mm-hmm. She doesn't take responsibility for anything, but then you can't talk to her about it either.
Right.
So it's really bizarre. It just really is. And this crap has been going on all through the knitting community. Disturbing the Police is a fairly well-known person. She is against cultural appropriation, unless it's any sort of Aran knitting, and then she is all for it because every one of her patterns has cables in it. But apparently, because she took that from white people, it's okay. Like all I've been saying since Roe versus Wade is mental gymnastics. The mental gymnastics people have to do to get to the point where they are makes my brain hurt. So, and then the other thing about knitting people that I wanted to talk about is there's a fairly well-known, she's a Asian American person, and she was saying that the 4th shouldn't be celebrated because the 4th of July protests are saying that they're imprisoned within a white supremacist patriarchal system of constitutionalized dehumanization. So people are scared, silent, incarcerated, and that we're legislating their bodies. And so that's why we shouldn't celebrate the 4th. And funnily enough, Anne celebrated the 4th in Romania because it's an American holiday and she was chilling with Americans. But
that's right.
The thing about this, right? I know I'm a little ranty today. It's because I've missed Anne, and it's different. I can't rant the same with Neil. It was nice, but it's just not the same. But the reason that KnitBoop can get on the internet and say, hey, this country is terrible is because, you know, my grandfather fought in World War II, and my grandfather fought in Vietnam, and my stepdad was in the Cold War, and my grandpa was in the Air Force. And because people, us terrible white people, and I'm not just saying only white people fight, but, you know, they hate us so much, but then our families are the ones that are out there fighting. I'm sure their families are out there too, but the reason you can say all of this stupid shit is because people decided that our country was worth fighting for, and they went and died. My grandpa was like 17 when he went to World War II. Like, he had to grow up and be an adult so that you can be a 30-year-old woman bitching about stuff. And that's the difference. And it's really, you don't have to love everything, but you should appreciate the fact that you can say all this shit is because somebody else went and died and fought. And my grandpa that went to Vietnam, I think I heard him talk about the war one time, because that's how bad it was. He was terrified of everything. He was not terrified of everything, but the war changed who he was inside because it was so horrible. But he did that so that you can sit there and bitch. And I'm just so freaking tired of these women who are oppressed and who are mad and who are, get out there and go do something then. Don't tell me that I can't talk to you because you're so oppressed and you're so sad. Look, Fatima, please come on and talk to us. Ann and I would love to have a discussion with you. Knit Boop, it would be great. I would love to know why you hate the US so much. And if you hate it that much, go to Canada. But you can't just cross the border. You have to show that you're going to be a citizen that's got something to give, and you have to pass these tests. Because most countries don't just want to be flooded with illegal people.
Well,
so anyway, sorry.
I remember this was a lady talking after Trump was elected, and she's a Canadian lady. And she was saying that she's like, all of these people are like, oh, well, Trump's elected. Well, that's it. I'm just going to move to Canada. And she's like, Canada has its own country and its own traditions. And don't act like you can just come up here and walk all over us as if Canada is nothing. Like, oh, well, I'll just go to Canada. Oh, well, then you better be a Canadian.
Yeah. And no, because a long time ago, one of my coworkers was telling me that before she met her husband, she was seriously looking into immigrating to Canada, and that there are like rigorous things you have to do to be allowed into the country. It's not just the free for all. And I think because we live in the society now where people just do whatever the fuck they want to, that they're surprised. They don't expect that because, well, we just let everybody in, so why wouldn't another country? Sorry, I didn't mean to get that mad about it. But seriously, I'm sure that there are tons of people watching who have people that died or fought or enlisted so that they can act like this. And I think we need to start calling them on it, because their parents obviously never parented them, and they allowed them to act like small children. And so now they're grown ass adults acting like small children, and it is painful to watch because it is just embarrassing.
It's true. And even George Takai, who I very rarely agree with on anything, even he kind of clapped back on Twitter saying that, like, well, we celebrated the 4th of July in a Japanese internment camp, okay? Like, those are some pretty rough situations. And even then, they were believing in what America could be. So if you can't, America is one of the few places that are born from an idea, that is born from an aspirational quality of a country to be the best it could be, is a part of its founding. And that all of that is overturned because the Supreme Court said that abortion is something that can be determined by a state-by-state basis, giving the power back to the states. That shakes your entire trust in the system is outrageous.
Yeah. And the reason that it went back to the states is because we are meant to have our laws in our states, and the federal government is just supposed to oversee like stuff between states and like things. It's not meant to govern the entire country. That was part of how our country was founded, but people forget. It's the same thing of
right. Anything not put in, anything not explicitly stated for the federal government to do in the Constitution is given to the states to govern.
Right. And I know it's probably privileged to say, but if you don't like your state, change it or move. I live in a state where you will always be allowed to get an abortion, because they act like it is one of the foremost rights on earth. And that's a whole different story. But if you don't like these laws and things, come to New York. If you think that gun laws are bad, come to New York, because Kathy Hochul just told us that you can't carry anywhere. If you're in public, you're not allowed to carry, even though the Supreme Court just said you can.
Right.
So she was saying, no, do you want to be on the subway and know that somebody could have a gun, or in Times Square? Yes, I would like somebody who has been trained to conceal carry to have a gun, because probably bad guys still have guns.
Oh, definitely. In fact, you know, I've said before, and this, you know, I come from South Dakota, which is a more Midwestern state where you generally assume that everybody is armed, and it's like, wow, look at how much less crime there is. It's crazy. And, you know, I'd much rather be like, oh yeah, you know, every, you know, reasonable, you know, non-felon, everybody is concealed carry all the time. That'd be great. Everyone would be so safe. Like if there was a criminal, there'd be immediate response to that if someone was being murdered or attacked on the street or anything like that. And yeah, that is your first response. And then the police then could be, you know, the police, you know, are there to protect you, but the police can't always be there immediately. If you had people who could respond to threats instantly, and then the police come in and, you know, make sure everything's kosher, I think that'd be
right. I mean, the
right.
scariest places to be when there's a shooting is a gun-free zone,
Right.
because there's nobody there to help you.
Mm-hmm.
So if Kathy Hochul,
right, because the bad guy has a gun and the good guy doesn't.
Right. So Kathy Hochul saying, hey, we're going to keep you safe. We're keeping all these places gun-free. So now if I'm a bad guy, I'm going to go to Times Square, because I know that she said nobody should have a gun there. It's just crazy. I got a couple more gun things. And then Anne's got some English news, which I know everybody's missed, even though we had Neil on and he had prepared, but then he and I went so long on a portion that we didn't have time to talk about things. But so over the 4th of July, there was a shooting in Highland Park, Illinois. It killed 7, it injured 25. And it's funny, I'm not entirely clear on everything that happened. I've been seeing a lot of lefties saying that he was a Trump supporter, but then when you see pictures of him and things and read some of the stuff he was saying and doing, he doesn't seem like a Trump supporter. I mean,
right there, from my understanding, there was somebody who knew him that had a Twitter post about him, and 22-year-old guy, and he said that it's like, yeah, that he wasn't a liberal and he wasn't a super MAGA guy, that the quote was, he was an isolated stoner who completely lost touch with reality. Like
that's interesting.
Yeah, and it's like there's pictures of him at Trump rally. He was like wearing a Where's Waldo kind of getup that kind of seemed like he was trying to make fun of it, but there's also pictures of him at other liberal things. But no, that from everything kind of points to him just being a sort of, you know, mentally disturbed dude.
Yeah, and he was known to police. I mean, they came to his house in 2019 because of a suicide threat, or I'm not entirely certain what it was. And a lot of people
threatened his family with a sword.
Yeah, that was the other thing. The police had been to his house twice. Once was for suicide and once was for threatening to kill the family. And a lot of people who knew him said there were warning signs. So
right, that he did like rap and animation videos where he was shooting people.
Yeah, that he had a animation that was him doing a mass shooting. And
right.
So
this was obviously not a well dude.
No, and it seems like he was doing it for notoriety, which is why I don't know his name. I don't need to know his name because he's a piece of crap. But yeah, it seems like he was almost trying to boost his name, get himself out there so that people knew who he was, because he's an aspiring rapper and whatever. But a lot of the things I've been seeing is, oh, look at this white guy who did a mass shooting was taken alive. And they are comparing him to the kid in Akron, Ohio that was shot by police. That guy's name was Jalen Walker. And he was, the police attempted to pull him over for a traffic stop. the car he was driving in had been connected to a crime the day before, right?
Hmm.
So they see this car that's been connected to a crime. They try to pull him over. Does he pull over? Probably not, right? No, he goes really fast through a residential neighborhood instead, and then he shoots at police.
Right.
Okay. So then he hops out of his car, starts running. Okay. And they attempted to subdue him with tasers. It didn't work. He reached for something in his waistband and turned towards the cops. Now, apparently at the time he was running, he didn't have a gun on him. But if you're the police and the dude was shooting at you from his car and then he's running and reaching for something, what are you going to think?
Right. Exactly.
So everybody's like, oh, it's because he was a black dude. And no, it's because he didn't comply. and you know, maybe the Highland Park shooter, I didn't hear that he resisted arrest or whatever when he was apprehended. They found out who he was, they went and they got him. So yeah, he was apprehended, but he wasn't running from the cops. He didn't fire at the cops. I mean, not that that makes what he did better, but when you're trying to compare situations, there are factors. And so, okay, my kids are small, right? But I still tell them, when a cop is around, if a cop wants to talk to you, be polite, be respectful, you know, don't do anything dumb. Why would you shoot at cops? Whatever your crime was probably not that bad.
Also,
unless maybe it was.
I mean, A, don't shoot at cops, but B, if you shoot at anybody, you expect fire to be returned. Like, that's sort of an escalation sort of a thing. Like, you don't just shoot at people for funsies and expect nothing to happen in return.
Right. And then when they're tasering you and your plan is to keep running, that's not a good plan. And then there are 8 cops and he got shot 60 times, which does seem very excessive. But then if you think about it, each cop only shot, I don't know, what's 8 times? I don't know, 5, 6 times, 6, 7 times to shoot him 60 times. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, not that it's okay, but also.
Yeah, it's curious that, I mean, the tasers and the amount of rounds that it took to stop him too. Well,
I'm not sure if once they started shooting, they just, you know,
right.
I don't know how that happened, but yeah, so that happened this weekend, and there were 57 shootings in Chicago. There were 5 in the city that I live near. My husband, my people think that we're nuts for not wanting to go to our city anymore. My husband's like, why would we go up there? 5 shootings is a lot for our city over a weekend, and why we're not going to take our kids there. That's just dumb. But the gun, and here I am in New York where we have super great gun laws. So there you go. It's working. I don't know what it's working, but I don't know, man. So there's been a lot of crazy stuff going on, and I mean, I feel horrible for the families that were just out at a parade and that horrible violence happened. And I hope that this kid gets the full extent of the law. I don't know what Illinois has, but it's sad. It's really sad, but it's also sad that there were warning signs and nobody, you know, they want red flag laws, right? They want red flag laws, but this kid should have been red flagged. Like, if they worked, he wouldn't have had a gun. So
no, that there were police incident reports beforehand, and he could still, you know, buy a firearm anyways, that there were warning signs. He was known to the FBI, aren't they all? You know, the old line that all of these lone wolves are known wolves, and yet nothing was done.
Right. And so I guess that my point is that it's a horrible, horrible tragedy, but also if red flag laws worked, this wouldn't have happened. So everybody's like, oh, it's the guns. I don't think it's the guns. I think there's something broken in our system, and that's what we need to fix. But
well, and also it's the guns. You know, the guy was willing to hack at his family with a sword. There was some issues.
Yeah, there's obviously something wrong.
The NHS is giving out more money to the vaccine injured, which again is English taxpayer money, so that's a bummer. But that more people are being recognized as vaccine injured and vaccine bereaved. So that is a good thing. But that's just a continuation of that story.
Yep. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Anne, anything else we should mention before we go? I don't know if you guys picked up on it, but our friend is a little bit sick, probably from traveling. I can hear it in her voice.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm a little sickly this week.
But that's okay. We missed you and we're glad you're back.
Huh.
Happy to have you. Oh, I remember 2 more stories I wanted to mention. Do we have a minute?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So these are quick. In Rhode Island, there was a senator who on TikTok decided to twerk upside down in a thong bikini for votes.
Did that work for them?
I don't know. When she was done, she was like, vote Senator Mack. And so I guess that's a thing. I don't know if I was in Rhode Island, I'd be appalled.
That reminds me of it was a weird rant by Vladimir Putin that people made fun of him for having shirtless horse pictures, and he said there was no other world leader that you'd want to see with a shirtless horse picture. And I'm like, well, not to give Vlad too much credit, but he has a point there. I don't think anyone else would look so good in swimwear.
There's a couple, but I don't want to give them any. They're pretty terrible people too, so I'm not going to mention them.
But yeah, I don't want to see my politicians in any state of undress.
No, that's not what we're doing. And then the other thing, if you're a parent that is out there thinking about maybe removing your kids from the school district or something, there's a story in Washington State that should make your blood absolutely boil. There's a state school board director that is going to be teaching sex ed classes to 9 to 12-year-olds. Not just anywhere though, she owns a sex shop. So she's going to teach classes to your children in her sex shop. And the topics are going to include anatomy for pleasure, safe sex practices for all kinds of sexual activity, consent, puberty, defining what sex is, and genders and sexual identities. And this is for 9 to 12-year-olds. So, yeah. And this, I know Washington State is crazier than other states, but if they're blatantly doing this stuff out there, it's going to come to your state soon. I mean, probably my state sooner than some of you guys, but it is what it is.
If nothing else, just the conflict of interest should have disqualified her.
You're right, because I mean, having it at her shop, I mean, probably her goal is to get some money out of it. I don't know, but who wants to teach a 9 to 12-year-old that? I am sorry, my 9-year-old, I don't want to talk about it, but also they aren't even thinking of things like that. They are busy playing video games and riding their bike and being a 9-year-old, right? Right.
As they ought to be.
So anyway, the freaking world is killing me. It really is. And so what you guys should do is go get some yarn from Chicken Lady. Enter to win our giveaway. Chicken Lady and Cody Schlegel. Go to the Perfect Heist, get some accoutrements for your knitting projects, and do something happy. And guys, I was thinking about it while Anna and I were talking. If we've said something you don't agree with and you think that we've got wrong, we would love to talk to you. Because I know that Anna and I agree on a lot of things. We might not be like totally eye to eye, but we're happy to have people that don't agree with us. And so if we are like wrong on something, email us politicallyincorrectknitters@gmail.com and we'll work out a way to get you on the show with us to discuss, because we want to know. We really do. So don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, share with your friends, because that's going to get more people talking about these things. And follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Rumble, and Feel Better.
Okay.
And we'll see you guys next week, okay?
All right, see you then.
All right, bye.
Bye.